Hello, you beautiful people. We are back, Laughing Man Podcasts, with Mr. Mike, and we more of his old stories. I think last video, part one. I hope you watched, but we're gonna start now. Like Mike, you live on a sailboat, Gabriella Island, off Vancouver Island, and but your kind of pattern is you come here every 6 months, right?
Yeah,
Is that
because of the weather?
because of the weather? Yeah, because of the weather
And
but
it's not expensive to live here, although I can exist there too.
yeah.
The sailboat, I don't pay any rent.
Well, you used to live in Taiwan. I guess it's kind of like a home base for you, right?
It's sort of back and forth, yeah.
Yeah. But also you're because of your pension, you can only stay 6 months or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to go back, I guess, every 6 months.
And also part of it is the heat. I don't want to be in severe heat.
Yeah. Summer's really hot here, right? Yeah, really hot here. Yeah.
Yeah, you're used to it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
I got scorched a few times in Malaysia. It says Philippines, Malaysia.
Malaysia, you had a boat in Malaysia, right? You had a sailboat in
I
Malaysia.
sunk a sailboat in Malaysia, yes.
Yeah, that cost you 15,000 or something. And yeah.
Yeah.
You told that story about with your buddy on it, or
Yeah, Alani. I never saw Alani again. I was okay. He was a young guy, Muslim, Islamic.
Okay.
I had Islam background.
All right. Yeah.
And he had lost his passport. They put him in jail in Malaysia.
Oh, bummer.
And he was 6 months in jail just because he'd lost his passport. And they were hanging people right in front of everybody.
Well, not for losing your passport, but yeah, Malaysia's pretty strict.
Right?
Yeah, horrible.
And he said that the people that they were hanging wouldn't walk to the hangman's noose. They had to drag them.
Oh, wow.
And he was in there for 6 months.
Wow.
Finally, he got out, and he's got his Malay paperwork,
All right, cool.
And
cool.
there's
But mostly, so Malaysia for a bit, but more like you had a Filipino girlfriend for years, right?
Yeah, for 8 years, and I met her in Taoyuan, and would pick her up at the dormitory. She'd stay in my apartment.
In Taiwan, in Kaohsiung.
No,
Southern Taiwan.
Taoyuan.
Taoyuan, oh.
Yeah, I'd pick her up at they worked in those semiconductor factories, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because Taiwan's known for semiconductors.
Mm.
And they'd work in those semiconductor factories, and I'd hear about it. There's a room in there that is the gold area. And they had to wear certain clothing and stuff because they were working with gold all the time. Anyways, I'd pick her up after her 12-hour shift, 6 to 6 in the morning. She'd come to my apartment, and she would sleep till 4, and we'd have lunch or dinner together, breakfast, lunch and dinner together, and I'd drop her back off to do her shift. That went on for 4 years there, and then she got transferred to another contract in Kaohsiung.
Okay.
And so I moved to Kaohsiung with her. I had an apartment there with her in Kaohsiung, so I was traveling back and forth to the Philippines.
All right.
And this is before the boat in Malaysia. Because the boat in Malaysia, I bought that with my Grandma Smith's money that I completely didn't expect it. She left
Grandma Smith.
She left my sister $20,000 and myself $20,000, but the estate never got settled for like 17 or 20 years. And after 20 years, finally, we each got this 17 or 20,000 each, and I spent that money on that boat.
All right.
Boat. I had boat on my brain. So it sunk, and that was at $15,000 and a few months of me horsing around. But pretty funny. And Aunt Nato died too. Aunt Nato left us each $20,000.
Well, you have your boat now is worth way more than that, right?
Yeah, my boat now as a whole I bought that from Mom's money estate.
All right.
And that boat's worth a lot more than that, and it's a much better boat.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was a lucky buy.
Yeah.
And that's the best buy of my life, that one.
Yeah.
Even Kaylee realizes it.
Kaylee is your son, right? Yeah, because you were, I've never met Kaylee. Interesting guy, right? He has landed Costa Rica.
Yeah, you probably if you were at the Peace, were you at the Mud Peace Fest and when that big mud party was?
Yes,
He was
that's
the-
where we
he-
met. Well, no, we met
No, I
at
wasn't-
a Wally and Peace Fest.
Yeah,
Wally
I
and Peace
wasn't
Fest.
at that one, the mud one.
All
Were you
right,
at the
all
one where they were all sliding around in the mud and all that?
Yes.
Haley was at that one.
Okay, I'm sure I met him
with
in
Robbie and
All right, cool.
all the people. Yeah, he was there.
Cool.
I had to go back that year early or something. I can't remember what it was, but
Well, anyway. So anyway, you got a sailboat. You're a drummer. We really haven't talked music much. You're a potter. You do pottery, right? Really nice too, right?
I
You've learned
started
some
drumming
skills.
when I was like grade 7, grade 8. We had a band. I took lessons from a well-known jazz drummer, which I liked rock and roll. So I took the skills he had and I put them to the rock and roll. So that made it so that I could play really high-end drumming.
All right, yeah.
That's how come I could play like, Ginger Baker or any of those guys.
Or be kind to each other for the Night Owls. Yeah,
Yeah.
You were the first original Night Owl drummer. Whee!
Yeah. But the funny part about that whole thing is what I realized over the years is that I'm glad I never did that as a job.
Oh, you mean a big tour all the time?
Yeah. I could have done that, but I'm glad I never did, Because
Yeah, it's a tough life when you're traveling all the time.
yeah,
hotels.
I only get a bit of money from it. And I see these guys, like I see the drummer for Deep Purple and stuff, and he's on there doing his thing, and I can do all the stuff he does and more. And there he is. He's made his money he's recognized because he was in Deep Purple, right? But and also I know the guy, like I've seen Don's buddy's the lead singer for Uriah Heep. That's like they're friends with Nazareth and Deep Purple and all that stuff. And they wore their drummer out about 8 years ago, so they got a young guy. Their drummer, he was older, and then Don says, well, my buddy Don wanted to play for Uriah Heep, moved to England and played for him, and Bernie said, yeah, you're not good enough, because he's too old. So they got this young guy who's in his 40s, who's full of beans, right? He's their drummer now. But
You're not full of beans now?
I don't have the beans that you need to if you want to really pump out full. Anyways, they hire younger guys now.
No, drummers for sure, a lot of energy. So, Mr. Smith, Mike, one of my good friends here, what is life philosophy? Anyway, for sure.
Well, I wasn't born again Christian. I went through all those different things. We read Be Here Now back in the day, Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu. And then I started looking for someone. I felt that there was some way that you should be able to go inside yourself and experience those experiences. And that's when I heard about Guru Maharaj, he was called at the time. Now he's called Prem Rawa. He travels endlessly. And I heard about him then, and he said, well, you can try this. If you get something out of it, great. It doesn't cost any money. And if you don't, then fine. So I got involved listening, and I started to practice the thing he showed me. And I got a lot out of it. And I listened to him for many years. And the Christianity, it took a lot of years before the Christianity and all the guilt. I mean, the born again thing. And
We never really talked. I'm surprised. You really never talked about that with me. So, now you're on camera talking about it. So that's interesting.
It took years to shed some of that stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And going to those churches where they talked in tongues and stuff. I was telling Gordon about it. It was really...
That's really fundamentalist. Yeah, way done that. Yeah. Because you strike me as the least fundamentalist person. I think you're pretty laid back. Yeah. So that's what I meant. Your philosophy,
what
more.
I realized from Rawat and the inner experience is that reality is not a religion. And many religions have been created attempting to describe reality. But there's a necessity to be able to trust your own experience and be able to keep on experiencing your own experience, because there's something there that unfolds for each individual uniquely.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a belief. You don't have beliefs. We don't need beliefs. We need experience, more experience, more experience, more.
Yeah, experience. So yeah, your different life experiences, right?
Yeah.
From all the things you've done. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
through all these different things you learn, and you
Yeah.
know, and many things happen.
Yeah.
Magical things happen, and somehow we grow. All of us do through these experiences.
Mm.
And that's where the strength is. That's what is where our true strength is in our core, our heart, true heart, or call it what you like. But yeah, I mean,
I think Buddha's talking about the heart
a
mind.
lot of people died. And a lot of my friends died, burned to death in the fire, and committed suicide. And I left Ontario in those days because back east is a tough place, and a lot of people are, you know,
Back east, what you mean,
Ontario,
like Ontario,
Toronto, New York, but that area, bikers and tough, you know, the pubs. Even then, when the pubs, when I was a kid, there was this. It was post World War II, and so there was a room in the pub that was only for men, and there would be like they'd spit on the floor, and there was a little round table they'd give, and it was all the guys, the old men from World War II in there and stuff, and no women were allowed in there. But there was another area called Women and Escorts, and that was the only place that women were allowed to come into the pub to eat a meal with their chaperone, or what do you want to call it, the men, with a man.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those old guys from World War II, most of them who came back became alcoholic, ended up living out in the countryside, or they never said very much because they went through so much difficulty. They never talked about it. Anyways, that was the pubs at that time. And I remember getting into, I went to one of the pubs one time in Oakville, and I was with 6 friends, and we were 5 of us, and we were in a little 1967 Datsun. It was a square little car which was orange. And we go into town, and we go into this pub called the Halton, which is where all the bikers hang out at.
Right.
And we go in the back door from the back parking lot. And Jameson, the skinny little guy, is with us. He's really a kooky, hot-headed little guy. We go in the front. We walk around to the front of the Halton, and we go in the front. The 5 of us. We go in the front door, and there's a table. We sit down at the table, and behind me is the bar, and there's an aisle. And there's tables. There's all bikers sitting around. It's a big rumble type of talk. And Jameson is sitting across the table. He sits there, and I've got my back up here. And there's somebody there. Wink is there, and somebody else is here. And Westbrook, I think, was there. We were in Westbrook's little Datsun. Well, Jameson grabs some little guy from in front of the pub and drags him in, and has him there. And he says, "You're buying our beer." And the little guy gets upset. And a guy steps up to the table, and he's a big guy who knows the little guy. He's a biker, and he says, "What's going on here?" And Jameson picks up one of the draft beers, throws it in this big guy's face, and smashes the glass on the table. Next thing you know, the whole room blows up. And I jump up out of my seat, and I'm back in the alley between the bar, and I'm out the back door. And I'm out in the back parking lot, standing by the Datsun, right? And Westbrook had a brown belt in karate. And I see them getting pushed out of the back of the pub, getting punched out. So they all run for the Datsun, and we all jump into the Datsun, and Jameson is left out. We fire up the Datsun, we get out there, we leave Jameson behind. The bikers are kicked dents from the side of the Datsun. Anyways, we go back to school 2 or 3 days later, and Jameson has all of his teeth busted out.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Well, Mr. Mike, let's stop there, okay? My battery's already, that's 15 minutes of stories anyway. Thanks for sharing, buddy. Thanks for sharing.